Hello, we are on chapter 12, which covers personality. And if you remember in class, we defined personality as relatively enduring and stable behavioral characteristics. The majority of class we spent on reviewing the different theories of personality, and in this video that will be the focus as well. More specifically, I would like to review the psychoanalytic theory of personality and the trait theory, more specifically the Big Five trait theory. Let's go ahead and get started with the psychoanalytic theory. The founder of that theory, as you may remember, was Sigmund Freud. We did learn about Sigmund Freud and a little bit about his theory at the beginning of semester. So the good news is that some of this material will be a review, refreshing old information. And the key word that we associated with Freud and psychoanalytic theory, sometimes also called psychodynamic theory in the textbook, is unconscious. That's a very useful key word to keep in mind. The idea that we have the unconscious mind, which basically consists of our urges, feelings, desires that are hidden from our awareness, that we are basically unaware of. Freud's theory of personality is a structural theory, and it has three parts. The id, which operates on the pleasure principle, the ego, which operates on the reality principle, and the superego, which operates on the morality principle. The id is basically, I want it and I want it now. That kind of sense of urgent desires and needs that we have in the moment. Ego is the part of our personality that defines the demands and the constraints of reality. Like perhaps not now, but instead later, etc. And finally, superego is the moral compass. That's our values, our moral principles, etc. What I believe you will find really helpful when you're trying to learn this theory is to think of a specific example in which you are clearly outlining what is the id, what is the ego, and what is the superego. Let's work with a specific example here. Let's say that I'm waiting for class to begin. I've got about 15 minutes left, and I've got $5 in my pocket, and I'm thinking, I could go for some ice cream right now. I want ice cream. So that desire in the moment that I want ice cream would be my id speaking. If I'm starting to think though that this may not be the best time because it's only 15 minutes before class and I should really eat something more substantial first because I didn't have breakfast, that would be my ego speaking. If I happen to have the thought that I could take my $5 and donate it to the charity on campus, that would be my superego speaking. Okay? So in this example, you have the id, ego, and superego. If you can go back and review the examples I gave you in class on the sheet of paper, that will be another practice, kind of making sure that you really understand what these individual parts of personality mean and how you can apply them to specific scenarios, because the specific scenarios are likely to come up on the exam. Okay, we're going to move on and discuss the second very important theory, and that is a trait theory of Big Five. So there are different trait theories, and really trait theories are about describing human characteristics. They're not focused on explaining personality or explaining the development of personality, such as psychoanalytic theory is or the humanistic theories are. The trait theory is actually derived empirically through research. The statistical method that is used is called factor analysis. So it's a research-based empirical type of theory, and it really focuses on describing different traits. In the Big Five theory, as the name suggests, there are 5 traits, more specifically, conscientiousness, agreeableness, neuroticism, openness, and extroversion. So one thing you may find helpful is to think of some key words or key features associated with each one of these traits. Conscientiousness, you may want to think about self-discipline. Agreeableness, you may want to think about friendly and kind. Neuroticism, the key words associated with neuroticism, as we mentioned in class, are emotional instability. Openness can be a little bit tricky. By openness, we mean openness to experience. Some of the key words would be imaginative, nonconformist, someone who is an independent thinker, and finally extroversion, as the term implies, someone who is sociable, assertive, etc. So the first thing you really want to know is all these 5 traits. You want to know what they're called. And one way you can make it a little bit easier for yourself is to go by the acronym CANU. And what you may want to do next to be really familiar with the individual main characteristics of each of these traits is perhaps to think of people from your own lives, such as your friends and your family or even yourself, and see if you can find some very salient features that would be characteristic of one of these traits. Okay, so perhaps you have a friend who is very kind and generous and who would go to the end of the world for people. So she would be very high on the agreeableness scale. And see if you can think of more people with the different traits and kind of flesh it out, visualize it, picture it, so that you know exactly what each trait represents through these very personal examples. All right, I am going to stop right here, and I will see you next time with the next video. Thank you for your attention.